All right, introductory algebra homework day 17. It says find the perimeter or area of a rectangle given one of these values. What we're going to do is kind of like on the previous page where we had those shapes and we had to find the perimeter that were labeled with X's and whatever. In this case, we're going to have our rectangle, and the first sentence is going to give you the length in terms of the width. The length of my rectangle is 4 yards longer than its width. We're not going to know what the width is, so we're just going to call the width W. I'm going to go ahead and label that over here. We're going to write the length in terms of the width. The length is 4 yards longer than its width. 4 yards longer means I'm adding 4 to the width. So my length would be W plus 4. The perimeter of my rectangle is 40 yards. So again, we think about the formula for perimeter. Perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. We're then going to substitute in what we know. The perimeter is 40, so 40 is equal to 2 times the length. But in for the length, we replaced it with W plus 4. So we're going to say 2 times, now I'm writing 2 times our W plus 4. Plus that 2W we already had. 2 times W plus 4 because both of these are W plus 4, and then 2W because we have this side that's W and this side that's W. Solving that then, 40 is equal to 2 times W is 2W, 2 times 4 plus 8 plus 2W. So just using our distributive property right there. Combining our like terms, 40 is going to equal 4W plus 8. If I looked at this rectangle here and I added up all the sides like we did on the previous page, I have 1W, 2W, 3W, 4W, and then I have 4 plus 4, which is 8. My perimeter is 4W plus 8. Solving this, I'm going to subtract my 8. So 32 is equal to 4W. And then, of course, I have to divide by 4. 8 is going to be my width. So over here, W equals 8. My width is 8. I still want to know what my length of that rectangle is, so I'm going to go here and say, okay, the length side is 8 plus 4, so my length is going to be 12. The question, however, didn't ask you for the dimensions of the rectangle. The question is going to ask you for the area of that rectangle. Well, earlier when we did all that stuff in the review, we said the formula for area is to take the length times the width. And that's why we need to define both the length and the width of our rectangle. So the length we said was 12, the width we said was 8, and so 12 times 8 is going to give me my answer. 12 times 8 is 96. And so 96 yards squared is going to be the area of that rectangle. The second one then. Starting again with my rectangle. It says the length of my rectangle is 5 times the width. The length of my rectangle is 5 times the width. 5 times W is going to be 5W. So this time, instead of having an adding one, we have a multiplying one. The length is 5 times the width. Again, we know what the perimeter is 84. P equals 2L's plus 2W's. So substituting in, 84 is our perimeter. We're going to take 2 times the length, but in for the length, we have to substitute in our 5W plus our 2W. We have 2 sides here that are 5W, 2 sides that are a plain W. So solving that, 84 equals 10W plus 2W. 2 times 5W is 10W. Adding our like terms, 84 equals 12W. If I look up that rectangle here and I add up all my sides, 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 gives me my 12W. I'm going to divide by 12. 84 divided by 12 is 7. So my width is going to be 7. So again, like on that previous one, I want to go fill in my rectangle. I know that my width is 7. I know that my length is 5 times the width. So 5 times 7 is 35. And so now I know what my length and my width are. I can answer the question. The question says, what is the area of that rectangle? So if I'm going to find area, my formula is length times width. My length is 35 times my width is 7. I have to take 35 times 7. 35 times 7 gives me 245. So 245 inches squared is going to be my answer. The third one. Again, I'm going to have my rectangle, draw it over here. It says the length of my rectangle is 3 times its width. So again, 3 times its width, L is going to equal 3W. So over here my width is W, my length is 3 times the width, so is 3W if I label my sides. However, notice on this question doesn't tell you what the perimeter is. This one starts by telling you what the area is. So we want to start with the formula for area. Area is equal to the length times the width. So 108, and don't worry about the label meter squared, just do the 108 is equal to the length, but in for the length, we got to substitute in 3W times my W. Right? If I'm going to find area, I'm going to do 3W times W. Now, we haven't talked about this yet in introductory algebra, but if I take a 3W times a W, I'm doing W times W, which is W squared. Just like when you do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, you put that exponent on it. 2 times 2 is 2 squared. 3 times 3 would be 3 squared. 4 times 4 would be 4 squared. W times W is W squared. So 3W times W is 3W squared. If I want to solve that, I'm going to get rid of my coefficient first. So I'm actually going to divide by that 3 to get the 3 out of there. So I'm going to take 108 divided by 3, which gives me 36. 36 is equal to W squared. Now probably most of you in your head can think about what number times itself is 36, but what technically you're doing is the opposite of squaring. The opposite of squaring is taking the square root. So I would say the square root of 36 is equal to W. And the square root of 36 is 6. You know that if you take 6 squared, 6 times 6, you get 36. So I found my width. My width is 6. I still want to do my length. My length we said was 3 times 6 is 18. So I know my width and I know my length. The question, however, says to find the perimeter. So now we have to go back to our formula for perimeter. Perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. So 2 times the length, which is 18, plus 2 times the width, which is 6. 2 times 18 is 36. 2 times 6 is 12. 36 plus 12 is 48. So 48 is the answer to our question. So those are the 3 ways you're going to see that problem. When you get to those ones, look to see, well, which one of these 3 examples does it read most like? And then you can kind of follow how we solve them. Perimeter and area.